G'day, hi, and welcome. Okay, here's my Lionhead violin. I'll show you guys nice and slow flyby here, so hopefully it's nice and focus and that. It's got it dark and I got the light behind me. Always, you think a guy that did photography would understand how lighting works, but anyway, it shouldn't be too bad anyway. This violin, the origins of this violin. This is the mystery violin. It's going to be. It came from Germany. It made it to Czech Republic, sorry, and then eventually made it over to here in Canada. And I bought it, I guess it'll be going on just a little over 2 years now. And I enjoy it. It's one of the best violins, not that I'm the best player, but it's one of the best violins I've ever played. I have the Resin Virtuoso strings, the red package on here, medium gauge. The pegs, I'll show you the pegs. These pegs are probably, you can tell they're really old pegs and they're original with it. They got some pretty outstanding, the camera won't do it justice, but it got some pretty outstanding carvings on that. Well, I don't think it's ivory, it looks more like seashell kind of whatever. But it's very beautiful, all these little patterns, these little flower patterns. Problem with my E-peg is the highest I can tune this violin up is up to about two steps low. So it's not, so it's just a little bit low, so it's tuned. So it'd be like, be about around there where it's standard tuning. Now this violin, okay, what is it? I don't know. I do know it's over 100 years old. It may possibly even be 200 years old, depending on who made it. Now, if we judge it by the arch top, here and here, okay, it's a Jacob Steiner violin. However, if we judge it by this here, it also could be a Jacob Steiner violin. But it could also be a hop violin, but it doesn't say hop here, so we know it's not a hop violin. And it could also be another Hornsteiner violin that was modeled after a Steiner violin. So we don't know who made it. So the possibilities are, the aging is right for it to either be a hop, Hornsteiner, there's about 3 or 4 families. There's Mathis Hornsteiner, the Joseph, I think there's a Joseph Hornsteiner, and there's a Joseph Steiner. There's an Andreas Hornsteiner. So there's a lot of Andreas, like Antonios and Andreases and stuff like that. And the thing about it is that what you're left with is nobody really knows who the maker is. This was a very popular, obviously they used some sort of a jig to make this. You know, whatever they did, drilled, and then I guess they must have carved it from whatever. And this is a very popular side, but I seen 3 different type of Jacob Steiner violin heads, and this is just one of the 3. This is the most common one you're going to find out there. And probably the easiest one that they were able to carve. There's another one, the mane's a little bit different, and then there's a third one where it looks just like a lion. And those ones, yeah, are very big bucks. The other thing is the purfling, or around the rim here. This here, Hornsteiner did it, so did Jacob Steiner, so did Hop, so did, yeah, all 3 of them, they did it. So that's a possibility. So the aging is right to be any one of those violins. Do I think it's a Jacob Steiner? Probably not. There's no label in here. That's why I don't know what it is. I do know it came from Germany. I do know it is a German violin. I do know the arching is that of very similar to that of either a Steiner or Hornsteiner. They're very, very similar, these arching tops. But there's another maker that it could also be, although this would be a little bit later, would be a Prokop, which I have a Prokop violin. And I've seen another Prokop violin that has the same type of arching. So this pattern, whatever they patterned it after, apparently it is a Stradivari pattern, but it seems awfully thick for a Stradivari pattern. I have my 1713 Stradivari. So I don't know whose pattern this is exactly. However, if I were to go by just what I found on the internet, I would have to say it was probably closer to a Jacob Steiner pattern. Probably most likely made by Hornsteiner. Just as a hunch, just because of where the fiddle came from, who it came from. I bought it from a violin shop that kind of gets from a source in the Czech Republic. But they did get it. It did come from Germany originally. That's that much I know. So and if you look at the aging of the wood, you can tell this thing is really old. So this could be possibly 1700s, early 1800s. Most likely at least 100 years old. So if it was 100 years old, it'd be more likely to be a Hornsteiner than it would be to be a Hop, or because those are 1700s, that everything. It's not a Stradivari. I don't think Stradivari made any Lionhead violins that I'm aware of. Maybe they did. Maybe he did. He made about 1200 different instruments. I don't know how many were violins. You can look that up. But the other thing is that the F-holes. The F-holes are a little bit smaller than what you see on my Steiner, my Hornsteiner. They're just a little bit smaller. So that could also give you an indication of the maker, you know, how that pattern worked out. So, yeah, the mystery violin. But, again, so it could be a Prokop, a Ladislav F. Prokop, like my other Prokop violin. Because I've seen other Prokop violins that have... There's one from 1911 that maybe I might pick up. It needs a lot of work, though. If I can get it for the right price, maybe at someday when I get cash coming back in, I'll pick up my violin obsession again and start, you know, repairing them. But yeah, that's one possibility, which would put it in the 100-year-old kind of mark for the Prokop violins, which then would be Czechoslovakian made when it was Czechoslovakia. But it's probably older, just judging by the aging of the wood and everything, and you could, you know, like just the way the wood's aged. If you look at the fingerboard and stuff, the fingerboard's not bad on this thing. It's actually like, I mean, this thing plays very, very well. I mean, if I could, I'd love to be able to tune it up to full pitch. The closest I ever got it was about a half step low, and it just the E won't hold. And I don't want to replace the pegs. I mean, look at these pegs. You know, I want to keep it as all original, but it is what it is. You know, so it's like either live with it, tuned a little bit lower. And also, if it is that old, I don't want to be putting more attention on this thing than possible. Although it is my favorite violin. Yeah, so Hornsteiner, Prokop, Hop, or a what was it? The Steiner. That's the four major possibilities. Now, it could be a no name as well. You never know, because you know many people did copy these things, you know, not just for forgeries. Again, there's no label in this, so I doubt it's a forgery. But some of them might have done it out of, you know, a tribute. Oh, wow, that's a very cool violin. How did they make it? Oh, they used this jig, and then they just copy the jig, whatever. Like this could be this possibly could be a factory violin. It could be, but yeah, it's definitely old. It's definitely old. So it's the mystery violin. Now the other mystery is this the devil's fiddle? Another video for another time, because there's a whole little thing on that I'm gonna do. So anyway, yeah. So there we go. So I thought I'd just show you that one. Have a great day.